Today I'm going to get you up and running with Affinity Photo 2 on the iPad. Hello and welcome, my name's Andrew Goodman and I do creative work on the iPad, and in particular the app of choice is Affinity Photo 2. I love it. I think it's absolutely fantastic. I've been using it for a few years now and it's my go-to app when I'm doing any creative work. In this video, I'm hoping to get you started with Affinity Photo 2. I'm going to show you the navigation and some of the things that Affinity Photo can do, and we're even going to do a bit of a project. And you've already seen what the project looks like because it's actually the thumbnail for this video. We're going to be creating this thumbnail and I'm going to be taking you step by step on how I did that quite slowly. Now, it's an app with so many features, I can't show you everything, but there's been videos before and there's going to be lots coming soon of me breaking down feature by feature, tool by tool, and hopefully in months to come, if you watch all these videos, you'll be an expert in Affinity Photo. By the end of this video, if you knew nothing about Affinity Photo, you'll have a good grasp, or at least a decent grasp of how it works. It's a great app. It's so powerful. I love working on it, so let's get into it. Let's just tap into Affinity Photo 2 on the iPad. It only takes a few seconds to load, and when it does, you'll be greeted with a screen like this. Your screen might not look exactly like this because all these are my projects that I've been working on recently, and some of them are all grouped together. And in my next video, I'll be going into this in a lot more detail, explaining all about this and showing you how to save, backup, rename, and all that fun stuff, which really isn't that fun, but it is good practice to do when you're doing artwork. You don't want to lose it. But we're not talking about that today, Andrew. That's for the next video. So we'll just tap on New and we'll go to New Document. There's other options here which I'll talk on a later video, and straight away there's lots of presets in Affinity Photo 2, and I'm just going to go all the way down to web, and it's this one I want, FHD 1080p, and really that's just a preset for high definition screen, and that's the exact measurements I want for a YouTube thumbnail. And we'll just click OK. And that is our new document. The first thing you'll notice is the toolbars. On the left hand side, we've got really a standard set of tools that you'll maybe see in Photoshop or other design packages. We've got the move tool, an arrow tool, and cropping, and paint tool, and lots of different things. We've got a document drop down, and all this is to do with kind of our document. These three dots, it's really to do with editing options we have inside Affinity Photo 2. And these here two squares are really about selections. If you're coming from Affinity Photo 1, we used to have a selections persona. Now it's been grouped with the photo persona. If you don't know what the word persona means, if you're coming new from a Photoshop background, personas are really different groupings of tools. So if we click the Affinity Photo icon here, we've got a liquify persona, a develop, tone map, and an export. We'll go into export and you'll see lots of the tools have disappeared. There's new icons over here. So depending on what persona you go into, it will show different toolbars, but we're not going to worry about personas and different toolbars today. We'll look at that another time. This icon over here is for zooming in and out. What's absolutely brilliant about Affinity Photo 2 in the iPad is you can zoom in and out just by pinching. So if we pinch in, the document zooms out. Now this isn't changing the document size. The document size is still as it is, and then by pinching out we can zoom in. So there's nothing to zoom in really at the minute, but you can pinch in and out, and it's great fun. And if you really want to get carried away, you can pinch in and out while turning your fingers, and you can actually change the whole document, rotate the whole document. If you want to get it back to the full size, just simply click this magnifying glass and it'll bring it full size. If we click down, there's a few other selections on this wee drop down to the right hand side of our magnifying glass, and we can zoom in to certain percentages, but we'll just leave that at the minute. This next icon is all to do with grids and guides, and we'll look at that in another video. And then this final icon is to do with snapping, and I always like to have snapping turned on, so when we have objects or documents or text, we'll be able to snap it into the center, and we'll see that shortly. On the right hand side, we've got a toolbar, and Affinity calls these studios. Every single one of these icons contains a studio. What's a studio, Andrew? If we click into the top one, we've got a layer studio, and this is where all our layers are going to appear. If we go down, we've got a color studio to do with color. We've got our brushes, filters, layer effects, and we'll look at these shortly because once we start to build up some images, these here studios take on a life of its own. We're going to import an image, and my favorite way to import an image is simply just on the dock here, just simply drag your finger up from the bottom and our doc's going to appear on the iPad, and we're going to bring our photos icon across. I'm going to tap on it and bring it to the right hand side, and it opens up on the right hand side, and there's some images here. All these photos is to do with this photo. I always make a Christmas family photo every year, and all made on Affinity Photo 2 on the iPad, and that's why a lot of these images, a wee bit of behind the scenes photo up there. It's this here image that I want to look at today, and simply by tapping this image and dragging it into Affinity Photo 2, it's going to import it. So you can see plus icon appears, and anywhere in Affinity Photo 2 it'll come to. So simply just swipe out of that, and there we have it. That is our photo. Way too big. You'll see that I'm moving my fingers in and out to scale it up and down. Again, it's not changing the canvas size, but what it does, if you zoom out, you can see these blue lines, and I'm just going to bring this down roughly into place. That's not looking too bad. I'll maybe make it a little bit smaller, and you can see I've taken this photo and it's not quite straight. I need to rotate it slightly, and this white dot on the top of the image, if I simply tap it, I can move from left to right, and it's just such a great way to get into the photo, to get in there. And I've showed you about zooming in and out by pinching. If you use any two fingers, you can actually move the canvas about. So if I want to zoom in on my wife's face here and then kind of look about to see how things are looking, I'm just simply using two fingers. It can be a finger and thumb, or it can be those two fingers, any two fingers, or two, if I put my Apple Pencil down, two separate fingers and two different hands. It'll simply move the way around the canvas, but normally I use a finger and thumb, or two fingers. I think normally it's a finger and thumb. And if I zoom out, and let's see if I can rotate this roughly so it's pretty straight. I'll bring this up, and by using one finger, I'm now moving this image. It's absolutely brilliant working on the iPad, working on artwork, because you really feel like you can get in there and move stuff around, and that's looking quite good. I think that's looking quite well. And if I move down, I'm going to bring it to the bottom, and yep, that's looking good too. So I'm just going to try and get it centered up so the top of this and the bottom is looking fairly center, and again, this side and this side is similar. And I'm just moving with one finger very gently. And if you want to get even more detailed, you can zoom in and then just move your fingers so you can go nearly pixel by pixel. I'll zoom out just one more wee bit. I think maybe it needs to come over this way. And I'm being very picky, and I think I'm quite happy with that. If we go into our layer studio on the right hand side, simply by tapping this, you'll see we have a layer, and by tapping it, the blue line appears. If we tap out of it, it deselects that layer. Click back into it and you'll see it selected, and by clicking this wee white dot, that'll actually hide that layer. So we'll keep it like that. We'll zoom out, and I think that's looking quite good. But what I would love to do is add some text onto this, because it is going to be the thumbnail for this tutorial. You've actually seen this picture already, so we'll add some text. So on the left hand side, if we go down to the text box here, the great thing about Affinity Photo 2 is if you click and drag your finger, you'll see a quick preview of the size of the text, which is really helpful and a good guide to get started. I'm going to put my Apple Pencil down and simply type in this video's name. And by hitting this here keyboard away, we've now got, we'll go back to our move tool, and sometimes I use my hand, I use my fingers to get in there and to make changes, and other times I use the Apple Pencil. It's really personal preference, and maybe seeing I'm left-handed, sometimes it's easier to do certain things with the Apple Pencil, and sometimes it's easier just to get in there with my right hand. So this text is looking absolutely awful, so we'll double tap it, and simply by double tapping or clicking your finger and dragging, we can select all this text, and now the contextual toolbar appears at the top. And when you're in the text tool, a new menu appears at the top, and depending what tool you are in, this top toolbar will change, a bit like Photoshop. And in Affinity Photo 1 on the iPad, it was actually down here, but they've made it more streamlined, more in keeping with Affinity Photo 2 on the desktop. So if you're coming from the desktop, it's a great time to jump into Affinity Photo because it's so similar and it should get you up and running much quicker. So we're just going to simply click this align button and we're going to center align this, move that down, and currently the font's Arial. If we click down, and there's lots of different fonts, and you can install fonts in the Affinity Photo 2. On a previous video, I showed you how to do that, but I'm simply going to type in Red Hat Display, and this is a free Google font, and it's the text I use for all my thumbnails, and I quite like it, but not the regular font. But we're going to go for the extra bold, so it really stands out. And that's starting to look not too bad. I say that, it's not looking great at all because really this screen, I want to dull down so this text pops out, and I'll probably make the text white or maybe a few different colors. But before I do that, there's a crucial thing that I want to show you, and it's how to undo and redo. If I hit 2 fingers on the screen, it will undo what I have currently been doing. And you can see that's took me back a few steps. If I use 3 fingers, just by simply tapping 3 fingers, it will redo what I'm doing. So say for some reason my text is like this and I move it off to the side here. I don't want that. That looks ridiculous, Andrew. 2 fingers will bring it back. It'll undo it. Or maybe I do like the text up here by my wee plant. 3 fingers will put it back. So undo, 2 fingers, redo, 3 fingers, and we'll bring it back. So we'll do 2 fingers, and again 2 fingers will move the canvas, and 2 fingers pinching in and out will zoom. And again, that's a great thing about Affinity Photo 2 on the iPad. You really feel like you can get stuck into it. If we come back to the Layer Studio now, we can see we've got 2 layers, and I'm just going to hide this image because what I want to do is I want to darken this screen just so we can make the text white and really make the text pop off the screen. And there's a few different ways to do this. We could use the pen tool and make a bit of a path selection and make it dark, or we could just go down here and make a rectangle, but of course we'll need to cut out our hands, so we could do a bit of masking or we could do a bit of cutting out. And again, 2 fingers to undo. The simplest way to do it on this occasion is by using this tool called the Smart Selection Brush, and the Smart Selection Brush is absolutely fantastic. I've got a tutorial on it if you want to go into more detail on the Smart Selection Brush. The Smart Selection Brush is how I cut out all these, I'm about to say characters, it's my family, all these pictures, all these guys from the background, and it's so powerful. But for this occasion, we're just going to see if the Smart Selection Brush will select the iPad screen. So we've got our Smart Selection Brush selected. We'll click this icon just so it gives us more space to work with. And if I simply start dragging over this, you can see the Smart Selection Brush is actually picking up all the iPad screen, and we'll go into it with a wee bit more. We'll maybe zoom in again by using our fingers, zoom in and out, and we'll not get, well, maybe we can get this border of the iPad. We'll try and get all this. You can see it's doing a really great job on selecting everything. We've missed a wee bit here, so we'll just move this up. And if you want, on this toolbar here, we can lower or higher the selection bit. So we'll bring it down lower just so it gives me a wee bit more control. And oh, I've made a mistake there because when I was trying to move, I accidentally hit 1 finger instead of 2 in the canvas. So again, 2 fingers will just undo that and bring it back. And we'll move this canvas down. We'll move this across. So we'll get all the iPad, because I'm going to turn it black or I'm going to turn it dark. So it doesn't really matter if this bit is dark. And the more of a contrast you have from the background, the better the Smart Selection Brush will work. And here you can actually see I selected my Apple Pencil. So simply by going up here and typing subtract and bring this down a little, we can go in, and with 1 tap it's actually picked that up, and we can maybe neat and tidy these edges a little too. But in just a few seconds, if we zoom out, you can see we've nearly selected everything. We'll go back to add because over here, don't know if you can make out in the screen, some of this tree hasn't been selected. And now that we've got our selection, it's looking pretty well. We'll go back into the Layer Studio. We'll click this plus icon and we will use a fill layer. And straight away, it's turned white. You're saying, Andrew, white's not the color we're after. It's black. And that's because if we go to the Color Studio now, you see the color selected is white. We can change it to any color we want, but of course we want it to be black. Not like this. We'll change the blending modes, and to do that we'll have to go back into the Layer Studio. So this is the Color Studio. We'll head back to the Layer Studio. In other videos we'll look at a lot more of these studios, but we've got the fill layer selected. Again, you can turn it on and off, and if you want to change the blend modes, we'll come up here to these three dots, simply click the three dots, and we can bring the opacity down, or we can change the blend modes. And it's not doing too much on some of these. And everywhere in Affinity Photo where there's a menu, like up here or here, you can use the arrows, or if you've seen what I did there, is you can tap the center and it brings down the list of options. So here, color dodge, if I click color dodge, now we can go through all the options. So I'm just going to look for normal and click normal. It's all black, so I'm simply going to bring it down. I'll maybe bring it down to about 70% opacity, just so the text will really pop out. And then by clicking on the layer option arrow, that'll just bring us back to the layers. And to deselect these marching ants, these dots, there's a few ways. We can come up here to the selections and click deselect, or again by tapping two fingers, we can swipe with three fingers down, just three fingers, swipe down, and it'll bring up this this quick menu. And here we can deselect it, and there's other options about duplicating the layer and cutting and copying and pasting and deleting it, but we just want to deselect it. And now that's looking pretty good. I know down here is a wee bit rough looking, and after this tutorial's done, I'll maybe go, or I will go, and neaten this up. But this tutorial is really just to get you started, to get you familiar with the app, and to show you some of the things it can do. So we'll go back to our text layer, we'll unhide it, and it's black text. We're looking for white, or maybe a few different colors, and by clicking on our text tool, you can double tap it to select a word, or you can click at the start of the word and bring it all the way down. And then by going into the Color Studio, we're going to again change this to any color. I'm going to choose white, and back to the arrow, and that's not looking too bad at all. What I might be tempted to do, and you can see now where snapping is turned on. So if snapping wasn't turned on, it's not highlighted, there's nothing snaps here, but as soon as we turn snapping on, you can see where the center of the project is. And I'm going to bring it down roughly to there, because I want to bring in the Affinity Photo 2 icon. I'm going to actually bring that in from another project. So I'm just going to tap out of this. And I know this icon is in YouTube projects, and here it is here. And I know I went quite quick there. I'll maybe go back and do it just a wee bit slower, because that's the project we're working on. This is a project, and then this is a group of projects. That's a group of projects. Again, in my next video, I'll explain this a lot more in detail. We'll simply click into this project. We've got more projects. This is the icon I want. And simply by going into the Layer Studio, the layer selected, if I click on these three dots and hit copy, that will copy that layer. And I will go back into this project we're working on, tap this, and again by tapping the three dots, hit paste. That is our logo, and it's looking absolutely horrendous because it's actually in between layers. If we go back to our Layer Studio, you'll see by tapping on this layer, we can move the layers to anywhere we want. So if I zoom out, And I'll try that again. We can bring it below this here fill layer, but we'll want it at the very, very top here. And by tapping the move tool, we'll bring it down. And we'll maybe bring it roughly, there we are, in the center. And I think that's starting to look quite good. Affinity Photo 2, iPad beginner's tutorial. The text is a wee bit crushed for my liking, so we'll click on the text tool. We can go down to the text studio, which we haven't looked at yet, and we can change the leading again by hitting plus and minus, or by tapping your finger. You can actually move it, and that's a real fun way to do it. Again, 2 fingers to undo, 2 fingers again, 2 fingers, 2 fingers to undo. Let's get back to where we were. I think that spacing's quite nice, but I want it to be spaced out that way. So we'll click into this arrow, click into positioning, and there's so many details. Affinity Photo 2 on the iPad, it's full of features. I'll maybe compare it to Photoshop on the iPad in a different video, but just spoiler alert, it's so much better. So we'll just move the tracking again by tapping it, and I'll just bring it out to what I think looks kind of good, maybe 20%, and just by moving it, we'll tap on it, we'll move it in the center again. I'm just moving it because I want my Apple Pencil to be in between here, and that icon is in the center. And what I'll maybe do, I think this needs a bit of color, and I'll maybe change Affinity Photo 2, iPad beginner's tutorial. If we click the text tool, and if we click beginner's tutorial 2023, and what color will I change it? To change it, we can either go into the color studio here, or we can actually tap this icon up here, and we can change it to not red. If you want, you can use the color picker. Just tap on the color picker, and we'll maybe bring some of this Doc's yellow to see how it looks. Or maybe Marty's kind of red outfit to see how that looks. Not too sure about the red. What about the purple? Again, this is just personal preference, and I think that looks quite good. I might keep that because I think that looks nice. The other thing I would do, just to make it pop off the page a little bit more, and this will go into a different studio, the effects studio, is by adding a drop shadow. So if we go into the effects studio, there's lots of different effects we can choose here simply by clicking outer shadow. It's activated, but nothing's happening because we need to click it forward, and then down here there's several sliders where we can change the radius and different options. So if I bring this up a little and bring the offset up a little, and maybe bring the opacity up 119%. Surely it can only go to 100%. That's interesting. I haven't noticed that before. And now if I bring the offset down a little, or sorry, bring the radius down a little, bring the offset up, and again, this is just personal preference, and I think that's looking quite good. It looks as if it's just separating the text from the background, and seeing I've done it in the text, I think I want to do it on the icon too. So we will go into our layer studio, we will tap on our Affinity Photo 2 logo, we'll go to the layer effects, click outer shadow, and again we'll do something similar too, and I'll just hit back, and if I click on the magnifying glass, that's fit to zoom, click on the hand, and if you want to clear all the toolbars just to see what we're looking at, this top icon here, if we click it, it'll remove all the toolbars, and now you can have a really good look of what our artwork's like. And I think that's really coming on. I think that'll do us for today. We've learned an awful lot. Again, this is just to give you a bit of a taste of what Affinity Photo 2 on the iPad can do. There's so much. It's an absolutely fantastic app. I love it. I do all my artwork on it, and I'm maybe going to clean up a few wee things here. So this will look a slight bit different on the final version compared to what we're working at. But I'll maybe separate the eye here a wee bit. I'll clean up here. I'll maybe slightly color correct it. But I'm really happy how that's looking. I hope you're able to follow along. There's going to be so many more tutorials I'm going to be making this year on Affinity Photo 2 because I think this app is just absolutely fantastic. And I know I said it was done, but I'm just going to go back into our text layer, click our text icon, just highlight this because I think I just want to change it to a different color, more of an orangey type color, because I think this will stand out. Yeah. I think that really stands out a lot more. It's personal preference. Maybe you like the purple. If you like the purple, let me know in the comments below. If you like the orange, also let me know in the comments below. There's going to be so many more tutorials coming on Affinity Photo 2 in the iPad. Thanks for watching this video, and I'm going to spend another few minutes maybe just tidying up a few edges, but I think that'll do us for today. Thank you. So there you have it. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. More importantly, hopefully you learned something, and hopefully now you have a good basic understanding of what Affinity Photo 2 is and what it can do. It might help to watch this video again, but more importantly, open up Affinity Photo 2, make a new project and just try some of these things yourself, and slow and steady you'll get the hang of it. I've already got a few videos on this channel about Affinity Photo 2, and there's so much more coming. I'm going to be making lots of videos in the coming days, weeks and months. So if you haven't already done so, please subscribe to this channel because there's going to be lots of videos on Affinity Photo 2 and hopefully a few other design packages, a few other design apps that I use too on the iPad. Please give this video a like as I'd really appreciate that. And until next time, thanks for watching. Hope you have a great day, and I'll see you in the next video.